don't expect the recruiter or the bots in the ATS software or the hiring manager to have to make those assumptions and work it out for themselves. If you know that a word that you have used in your resume is the same or very similar to a word that they've used in their job ad, change the word in your resume to match the one in the job ad. Hi, I'm Renata Bernardi, and this is the Job Hunting Podcast, where I interview experts and professionals and discuss issues that are important for job hunters and those who are working to advance their careers. So make sure that you subscribe and follow, and let's dive right in. Oh, it's great to be back on my own. I love doing interviews, but every now and then I really do miss doing just single episodes with just me and you. And this episode is really special. It's really relaxed. I have no notes. I have nothing to help me. It's just you and me here. And I have 12 questions that I'd love to tackle with you. Now, these questions were asked by Andrew Seaman. Andrew Seaman works for LinkedIn Careers in the US. LinkedIn has a podcast. Andrew is the host. He recently asked if anyone had questions on his LinkedIn profile. He did a post. I am sure that these questions will help inform his podcast and his articles and people that he wants to invite in the future to do episodes with him. Okay, let me turn off my heater here. It's very cold in Melbourne. I turned the heater on and now I'm very warm. And the first question is, where do hiring managers tend to stand on the use of artificial intelligence to enhance performance? Now, performance here is job search performance. You will get it in a minute. I used it to create a professional headshot that came out great, except it's more of a stylized presentation of what I look rather than the reality. Does it matter? So this is somebody who has used AI and has fed a normal picture of themselves to AI, and AI then created stylized corporate headshots for this person. These headshots are usually used in LinkedIn profiles, and in some countries where it's more common to add a photo to a resume, they might be used for resumes as well. Photos in resumes, by the way, are not common in the US or in Australia or in the UK, but I do have clients in Asia and in Europe, in countries where photos in resumes are still a thing, even though I think it's dying. It's not going to be like this forever. Okay, so my personal take as a career coach is for you not to use the AI uber enhanced versions of yourself. I think these days the trend is probably the other way around. I find that more natural photos that exemplify your personal brand in a more unique way is better. Let me explain. And I will put a link below to this article. It's not an article, it's a post, a long post that I did on LinkedIn about helping professionals that have been asked to go back into the workforce, helping professionals to go back into the office, right? So full-time in the office. And if you are not keen to go back full-time in the office, then what you can do. So giving some options, how to seek different employers and how to identify if they're flexible. People that are keen to work full-time in the office and are keen to being in sort of client-facing environments, working as consultants, going into client meetings, going into corporate places, bank. I'm thinking of people in banking and finance and consulting. you're probably going to be wearing more of the corporate attire, the traditional ones. A man will be a suit, women will be a suit as well, sort of tailored and all of that. So in that case, then you should dress up and take a photo of yourself. Or you can go to a photographer. It's not going to cost you a fortune. If they are charging you a fortune, change photographers. There are very good, well-priced professionals out there that can help you take a good photo of yourself. But if you are a hybrid professional, somebody that works from home, somebody who is keen to work remotely, somebody that works in less sort of conservative corporate environments, do not overdress for your photo. Dress nicely, of course, but be yourself. I find that whenever you use AI, it's pretty evident that it is AI. Ideally, you don't want that. I don't know. For me, it also shows a lack of confidence in the way that you look that I don't think is great for your professional presence and your professional brand. Be comfortable with the way you look. Whatever age you are, whatever style you have. When I am working with clients that are younger and still deciding on which way they're gonna, here I am saying I don't work with younger clients, but I did in the past. And I remember saying that to them, if you want to work in the corporate world and you want to be an accountant or a finance manager or somebody who works in consulting, you have to dress a certain way. You cannot ask a doctor not to wear scrubs, and cannot ask, it's just how it is. You might change the industry or the work environment as a leader, leading an organization and changing the culture and changing the look and feel of that culture and that organization. But as somebody who is coming into work, you have to adapt to the existing rules. So I'm saying this because if you choose to be working in a specific sector or industry or company, understanding the way that people dress and the way that people work is important. And if it doesn't suit you, then you can move and work somewhere else. And I know it's a privilege, and I'm saying this thinking, all right, some people will say, Renata, it's not a privilege, I really need work. Okay, then we need to adapt. And it starts from how you look and how you present yourself, and then what you say, and then how you pitch, and then how you write about your experiences. It's a combination of things: job searching, career development, career transition, career planning and design. All the things that I do them for a reason. They're not easy. They're complex, and they work holistically and symbiotically. So you need to kind of identify the best brand for the part of the world that you're in, for the industry that you want to engage with, for the level, in terms of in the structure of an organization that you want to operate in. All of this is important. So using AI and having a very standardized, hyper-realistic version of yourself as a LinkedIn profile, I think is not the best way to go. I have only one client that has a photo done by AI, but the reason why I said keep it is because for that one client, the photo looks so much like her. I don't think that if people look at that photo, they will think, oh, that was done by AI. But I have never seen anyone else with a good photo like that. I think she has a very simple, clean style with her hair and the way that she dresses that was just really, adaptable to the AI systems, whereas most people, myself included, I don't think I would like a photo of myself in AI. So there's an exception there. I don't think it's worth it. I think it's much easier for you to take several photos of yourself with good lighting, and you will find that there will be one photo there that you can use. Photos on LinkedIn also, they don't need to be beautiful. They need to be trustworthy and likable. Those are the two characteristics that you're trying to get with your LinkedIn photo: likability and trustworthiness. Okay? So go for it. Ask somebody to take a photo of you. I have a client who asked her daughter to take several photos of her, and she now has a brand new beautiful photo on LinkedIn. She did not spend a dime, she did not use AI, and she just got a job. So it worked. She got a job. She's starting today, actually. So that's great. All right. Another question. Oh, I have a transition. Let me put it on here. Let's see if it works. Okay, let's go to question number 2. I'd love it if you could cover how tactfully to negotiate salary and or a job title when it doesn't match the salary range and title in the job post. I'm finding a lack of jobs out there right now that fit my experience, wants and needs lately, but I need to secure a job. When you are in desperate need for a job and you are looking online and you don't find the jobs that suit you, you start to open up to other opportunities. You start to apply for jobs in a company that you really want to, but maybe in a different department, or maybe a position that's too high or too low. And you then get disappointed when you don't convert to job interviews. You think, but I am so experienced, and they didn't invite me for an interview. The thing is, the more strategic you are with your job applications, and I know it may sound counterintuitive considering you are so desperate for a job and you need it ASAP, and I understand how it feels. I've been in that situation myself many times. So you might want to consider what it means for the decision maker rather than what's going on inside your head. Because if you keep navel gazing and thinking about your situation, you stop understanding how people make decisions. So if they see somebody that's overqualified for a position that's much more junior, they might have doubts about why you would want that role. If they see somebody that is extremely qualified to do a specific type of job, applying for a completely different area of expertise, they may not understand why. It becomes even harder for you to get conversions into job interviews, and you will get even more rejections by using that strategy of sprinkling yourself into other opportunities. This client that I just mentioned before, who got a job now and is starting today, she had that feeling as well. You know, there are not jobs out there for me. I may need to start applying for jobs that are a bit lower in their salary range and, you know, in the qualification requirements. And I told her, don't do it. You don't need to right now. I know you're anxious about it, but financially, I feel you can withstand this downturn in the job market. And I want you to know that, you know, it will happen and you will get the job you want. And people may not understand why you would be applying for jobs that are lower than the ones that you've had before. They may not see the point of interviewing you. It may be a waste of time. You have to be really careful, especially if you're applying cold, if you don't have the chance to explain to a person of, you know, in confidence, you know, to a recruiter or to somebody in the organization. If they cannot advocate for you, it will be even harder for you to convert. So that's the first thing that I want to talk about with this question. The other thing that I want to tackle is this thing about job titles. I have heard of individuals that have rejected a job offer because it did not have the job title that they felt they deserved, even though the salary was was okay. I have had clients with that mindset, they wanted to negotiate the job title. I feel people are really caught up with job titles. I think it's probably ego, and maybe a misalignment with the job that title that's being offered and job titles that they had previously, even though the salary, considering the salary is okay or even better, they get caught up with the title. I say don't worry about it. Organizations have different job titles and different structures for job titles. Some managers in organizations are equivalent to directors in others, and sometimes a head of is above a director, sometimes it's below. Sometimes a VP, vice presidency, means a lot. Sometimes it means nothing at all because everybody with a bit more seniority is a VP. Don't worry about it. Just think about how the most important metrics that you need to worry about as you choose your job is what is your budget, how many people are you leading, and who you are reporting to. Your P&L, your leadership experience, your budget lines, your experience in terms of enterprise-wide projects versus smaller projects. I'm not saying that you should, go for the bigger ones, but what is it that you're seeking to achieve with your career? What is your ambition? Do you want to lead people? Do you want to lead teams? Do you want to lead projects? Do you want to be a subject matter expert? What is it that you want to do? This is what's important. Right? And when recruiters are looking at your profile, they are looking at what type of experience does this person has. I've been a CEO, but I haven't, in my team, I didn't manage hundreds of people. That's not the sort of CEO that I was. So it's very fancy to say I've been the CEO, but it was a small foundation, a small not-for-profit foundation. It wasn't a big listed company. So doesn't matter what job title you have. What matters is the experience that you're getting from it. Now, with salary negotiations, I'm going to direct you to the episode 245 with a salary expert, and we discuss lots of different ideas of how to negotiate salaries, and I think the question will be better answered there. Okay, let's go for that transition again. All right, one more question. Oh, I like this one. I am older, 59, but have been told I look younger, and I am super active and fit. I lead a healthy lifestyle, and I have tons of experience in customer service. I have owned a company. I have had 8 years as a realtor, real estate agent here in Australia, and had a store selling antiques, home decor, for almost 10 years. There's a very long question here. As well as 40 years in restaurant experience and 25 years as a nanny. I feel like you're 100 years old, not 59. You must have had, jobs all at once, 2 or more jobs happening at once. I often have 2 jobs. Oh, there you go. But I find myself unemployed for the first time in my life, and boy, is it eye-opening. Age discrimination. Okay, yes, age is a problem. I'm not going to lie, it is. Everybody knows that. But I think what happens as well with age is that we may lose touch with trends. Trends in what employers want, trends in what's expected of you as you present yourself with an ATS compliant resume, and a cover letter that explains your transferable skills. So with age comes the necessity of crystallizing the learnings from those previous experience, sometimes with certifications, sometimes with just observation and conversations and reading, to ensure that you're presenting yourself in a way that is consistent with what the employers are looking in employees in 2024 and beyond. So being older gives you lots of experience, but it also gives you the responsibility to keep up with the times if you want to keep working, and that's, you should. I want to too, Episode 246 with Tammy Fitzgerald was a great one. She's 49 and just starting to study for her law degree. So people like Tammy, like myself, we don't plan to stop, but it means we also need to ensure that we present ourselves in a way that is aligned with what employers want to see in job applicants right now versus what they wanted to see 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So when I look at the experience that you presented, and I don't know much about this person, but I think that customer service is really important as an amazing tool and skill and experience. And then there's hospitality with those amazing, 40 years in restaurant experience. So that's customer service plus hospitality. And I can think of jobs such as store management or restaurant management or cafe management. And I think it's important to present it in a great way. So I would, consider investing in something like Reset Your Career. Look at the name, it's for you. I designed it for people just like that, people that need to understand and get the right templates to provide them with the best chance of converting from their job applications in 2024. So getting a little bit of advice means that you can get all of that amazing experience that you have and translate it into the language and the narrative that is expected of you in 2024, right? So instead of just blaming age discrimination, let's try to understand the rules of the game today so that age is but a number, because that's how it should be. And I have worked with clients. My oldest client was 70 years old. So, and he's fine and, has lots of, interesting opportunities right at the moment. So I am pretty confident that anybody using the tools that I have developed can get the jobs that they want. So please consider getting advice either from me or from another career coach specialized in experienced, mature professionals like I am. Okay, transition. Question number 4. Always struggling with customizing the resume as per the job description. If you can give more tips on this to make this process smoother and less stressful, as well as guidelines on the cover letter, not the general ones we find online when we look up for tips on writing a cover letter, because they are very general. Thanks in advance. All right, so even if you are applying for a job that is not an online application, and it's rare, but sometimes it happens. So even if you're attaching it to a resume or sending it to a person, handing out the paper, which is very rare, there is still a look and feel for resumes right now that's different from resumes 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, because now most of the jobs are advertised online, and they're advertised using what we call the applicant tracking system, the ATS softwares that organizations purchase and use for the purpose of filtering and selecting with bots and keywords the best candidates, because so many people apply for the one job and there are just not enough hours in the day to look at all of the applications. So those technologies and those automations are really important for organizations, especially the ones that advertise lots of jobs. Think Amazon or banks or so many companies these days use these systems. Anyhow, because they're using these systems, These systems require resumes to be very simple and easy to read, and that's then a trend and a format that's been adopted everywhere around the world. So your resume cannot be pink or purple or have hyperlinks or images or logos or columns or tables. Nothing like that. You have to be very careful with the way that you design it and make it as simple as possible. Customizing the resume for each job can be done in several ways. It can be as simple as changing the order of the dot points under each work experience. So if you can look at the dot points in the job ad and then look at the dot points in a work experience that you have. If the most important one in the job ad is the last one you listed in your work experience, make that the first. Just change the order. The other thing that you can do is, especially for those that are changing countries or changing sectors, changing industries, sometimes the narrative that you're using in your resume doesn't match the narrative, the words, the jargons, the keywords that are used in the job ad. Can you adapt the words to match the information from the job ad without compromising the integrity and the veracity of your resume? And I do that with my clients all the time, and I know it can be done. So don't expect the recruiter or the bots in the ATS software or the hiring manager to have to make those assumptions and work it out for themselves. If you know that a word that you have used in your resume is the same or very similar to a word that they've used in their job ad, change the word in your resume to match the one in the job ad. Okay? So yes, I think those little changes are important. Then you can have a master resume with lots of dot points of achievements for each of the jobs that you've done, you know, the responsibilities for each of the jobs that you have done. But you don't necessarily need to use all of them every time you apply for a job. You pick and choose the ones that are most aligned with the job you're applying for, and frankly, remove the ones that are just noise and are just not necessary at all. Even if you like what you've done, sometimes we're very emotionally attached to an achievement, but it doesn't really align to any of the responsibilities or the key selection criteria for the role you're applying for. Remove it. Okay, so those little things are important. There are other tips and tricks that I use with my clients, for people that book consultations with me. So that's the work of career coaches, and people like me will help you. There's a reason why some of these things are not available online, is because it needs to be bespoke, it needs to be tailored to your experience, to the job that you're applying for. So I can't go into much more detail, and no one can. So in Reset Your Career, there is more detail there, only because I have more time, really, and it is my business, so I love doing it, and it's there. But then the 1 hour consultation can take that a step further and then make sure that we leave no stone unturned. We dot all the I's, we cross all the T's, and we match your resume to the job application to the best of our ability, right? So we do that. And you can learn to do it yourself. I'm not sure that it's worth it, because as soon as you get your job, you don't need that skill anymore. Whereas it is my job, I need to keep up with you know, the trends and what's going on, and I know it changes all the time. All right. One. What's the best way to gain interest to the point of getting an interview? I've been simply trying to build my network, and until recently, I haven't been asking for a job. Okay, well done for building your network. That's excellent stuff. Um, as a career coach, it might surprise you, but I am not a fan, and I never actually recommend asking for a job, asking your network for a job. I don't think I've ever suggested that to a client. So that's not really what networks are for. Networks, which are basically friends you have in your business, friends you have in your profession, people that you know in your area of expertise, in the region, the industries, the sector that you work for, they are great to just get advice, get information, get intelligence. And if you decide to apply for a job and you know somebody that works in that organization, giving them a call before even moving a finger to do anything and saying, hey, Div, you work at this organization, there's a job that's advertised. I want you to get your input. I would really like to apply for this job. What do you think? What is your advice? I have done this many times. Sometimes I've heard things I didn't want to, as Renata, don't apply. It's not for you. And I was like, oh shit. But they were right, and why would they lie to me? Why wouldn't they want to help me? They are trying their best to, support somebody, and it's a quid pro quo. I would do the same for them. So I really value people's advice. Well, most of the time they will say, oh, that's fantastic. Let me see what I can find out. I'll get back to you. Do you have time tomorrow? Usually people are very keen to support each other. So the gaining interest to the point of getting an interview is not really the way to think about it. It's to gain interest to the point of being top of mind. This is different. Being top of mind to your network is what you should be aiming for, is building not only a network, but a network that understands what your strengths are, that understands what you're good at. It's about building your professional reputation. You can have a huge network, but they may not necessarily know what you do. I'll tell you a secret. We have a friend, and Andrea and I were just saying this. We don't know what he does. We've met him quite a few times, and we have no idea what he does for a living. And it's kind of funny and cute. And I'm like, what do we do? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I don't care. He's a lovely guy, and it doesn't really matter. But it's kind of bizarre, isn't it? And is that the case for you? And I think it's really important to think about what it is that you are known for, what people will be thinking of when they think of you. And if there is an opportunity, will they think of you? Is your name going to pop in their heads for the right opportunities for you? And instead of asking for a job, they could at least know that you're looking for a job. And you can do that by, sending emails. I would say private emails, not emails to a whole bunch of people, but just one-on-one, and saying, look, Div, I just wanted to let you know I'm actually thinking of leaving my organization, and I will be looking for a job in the future. If you have any opportunities that pop up in your organization, can you let me know? Because I'd love to work in your organization. I just find it really interesting. Can we, if you have a moment to catch up over coffee or over Zoom to tell me more, that would be great. But, there's no hurry. Something like that. I think that works better than just asking for a job. I hope that makes sense. And let's go to question number 5. What's the best way to gain interest? Oh, that's the question I just read. Okay, let's go to question number 6. I still don't have a job. I've been let down by temp agencies. I've had LinkedIn app for about 3 to 4 months now, and it shouldn't be this difficult based on my work experience. Can you help me? Okay, so I'm glad that you are on LinkedIn, and I'm glad you finally signed up and you've been there for 4 months. But LinkedIn profile on its own, it's not going to necessarily get you a job, even though LinkedIn has a great job board, and that is a wonderful tool to, look for jobs, do research, understand your value in the market, and then apply for the best jobs for you. No question. But I think there's probably more on LinkedIn that you could do to optimize your profile. What we know now is that a lot of jobs are filled by candidates that have been found first before they applied for the job. Okay, and I see this with most of my clients, if not all of my clients. Jobs that they have not applied for yet, but they receive a message on LinkedIn that says, we are advertising this role, we found you on LinkedIn, we would be delighted for you to consider applying. Here's the link to apply. Or sometimes it says more senior role, it would say, if you want to have a conversation, ring me on this number or send me an email. So there are lots of things happening like that, because LinkedIn makes it so easy for recruiters to find the right candidates for the jobs that they're advertising. So what you need to do is to optimize your LinkedIn profile, and that's why LinkedIn Audit is a great thing. I will put a link below for you to consider doing one with me, because I can review your entire profile, and if you're doing activities, your activity as well, to see if it's aligned and optimized with the job that you're seeking. 3 to 4 months. I'm recording this in July 2024. 3 to 4 months is probably about the average for a corporate experienced person looking for work. It's kind of towards the longer time. Of course, I want all my clients to get jobs as quickly as possible. But if you're working by yourself, applying for jobs in a very slow market, 2024, these questions are all coming from Americans in the US, although my podcast is listened all over the world. And Andrew Seaman has, again, a very global reach. I noticed a lot of people all of these questions came from US professionals. 2024 will be a slow year for you. I mean, look at what's happening with the election and all the kerfuffle. Companies are just not excited about growing or expanding or hiring at the moment. They just want things to settle down before they decide the strategies moving forward. And those strategies include recruitment strategies and hiring strategies. So hang in there. Yes, there are jobs, and yes, my clients are getting jobs in the US, thank goodness. But I think you need to work much harder in understanding how recruitment and selection works, and also how recruitment agencies work, temp agencies in particular. I'd love to help you. I'd like to help everybody. So, I hope that this sort of gives you some ideas and some motivation to understand LinkedIn better, and maybe listen to other episodes as well where we talk to recruiters so you can understand recruiters better. I mean, I've interviewed so many recruiters here in the US and all over the world, so it'd be interesting for you to have a listen to those episodes. Question number 7. Although LinkedIn suggests I'm a top applicant based on the requirements and how my profile aligns with them, I'm yet to see an application proceed to the interview stage. How do I get past the ATS? Okay, so this is really important. When somebody books a consultation with me, or starts working with me as a private client, or joins one of my group coaching programs, and we're talking about applications and moving on to interview stage, we talk about conversions, right? You need to have a good sample, and my American clients usually do have quite a good sample. They have applied for dozens, if not hundreds of jobs by the time they reach out to a career coach like myself. And then we need to see how many of the applications converted to that phone call or that interview invitation. If there is zero conversion, then we know that okay, if there is zero conversion and the job is great for you, then we know it's about how you're presenting the information on your resume. And quite rightly, the person who sent this question probably understands that they are having trouble getting past the applicant tracking system. The applicant tracking system is first and foremost about the simple form of showcasing your experience on a simple Word document with no fancy anything, like I said before. And then making sure that you are including in your job application all of the important keywords that you see listed in the job ad or the position descriptions if you have access to a more detailed position description. This is really important. People in America, when you're applying for corporate jobs, you're competing against 100, 200, 300 candidates. And definitely the ATS system will be used. If your job application does not include the important keywords that you see in the job ad, then you're not going to move forward. You will not. That's just how it is, right? So if you want to understand how to do that process nice and neatly, it is easy to learn and it's easy to do, in my view. It's just time consuming, and there is a masterclass inside Reset Your Career that teaches you exactly how that works. Okay, so I would recommend you consider investing in that program and making sure that you start doing the analytics as well. Okay, these are great jobs for me. These next 2 jobs, I'm going to apply for them, and I'm going to do what Renata said. Very simple resume template, addressing the keywords that I find in the job ad. I'm going to do that this week, next week, the week after that. If you don't convert, then seek help. Really, seek help from a mentor, from a friend, from somebody that just got a job recently that was able to do that conversion. And if you can afford it, a coach like myself. Oh dear, it is hard, isn't it? ATS. I don't know how many times I have addressed it in this podcast. Well, 248 episodes and we are still there. The ATS system is a hard one to catch. But let me tell you this, once you learn how to navigate the recruitment and selection process, see, recruitment and selection is not really about your work experience. I understand you're an amazing worker. All of my clients are. Everybody that's listening to this podcast is as well. This is about understanding the rules of recruitment and selection. That is a different set of skills. That's why I do what I do, right? So either you learn the rules of recruitment and selection and how to convert at every point, from application to job interview, from job interview to job offer, or you hire somebody to help you. It's that simple. And the sooner you hire, the quicker you're going to get into another job, right? In a slow market, it's even more important to understand this because there are less jobs advertised, and it could take even longer for you to get a job. So this is really something that people need to keep in mind. It's about understanding how recruiters think, what they expect to see, the language you need to use, and how you need to present it. Oh boy, what else? Let's go to question number 8. How best to use your contact at HR in your company to land your new position in the company? This is a very short question, but I am assuming this person wants an internal promotion. And this is the thing, it's not really HR. If you're in HR and you're listening to this and you disagree with me, please send me a message. Don't hate me, but frankly, it's not HR that's going to help you get a new position in your company. It's your mentors, your buddies, your manager, your colleagues, people that are working alongside you. HR is about performance. Okay, let's start again. HR, what is HR there to do? HR is there to do the hiring, help with the firing, do professional development, do analytics about culture, and do analytics about 360s and strengths assessments, onboarding, performance management support, dealing with really difficult situations when there is, big issues happening between individuals that work in the company. They're not there to assess your performance and get you ready for promotion or mobility within the company. That is the job of a manager, your manager, or a mentor. Okay, those are the individuals that will support you. Now you can go and ask HR if there are any policies about mobility, about succession planning, about transition. If it's a relatively large organization, those things, you don't even need to ask them. It will be probably available in the intranet or even the internet on the company website and so forth. So yeah, it's not HR. It's your manager and it's your mentor. Go talk to them. Question number 9. I don't have work references because I have been out of work for 7 years. What do I do when employers and recruiters ask for work references? Okay, so if there is anybody that worked with you 7 years ago and you still have their contact details, if they're on LinkedIn, ask them if they can be your reference. I know it's 7 years ago, but that's already somebody, right? They don't need to be exactly your managers. I know 7 years is a long time. They could be a colleague, they could be a client or a supplier, anybody. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, within those 7 years, if you've done any volunteering, any type of work whatsoever, if you've helped at the kids' school, or if you cared for your elderly parents and there is somebody in the aging facility or a doctor or a teacher at the school that can say nice things about you, then they could be references as well. And then there are mentors, and then there are personal references. So there is always a way. Do not lose faith. I have helped people that had been out of work for this long and they got jobs. So I have faith in you. We're going to go through this. You're going to find a great reference. Believe in yourself and identify those individuals that can speak on your behalf, because you will need them. There's no way around references. You will need them. Okay? Good luck. Question number 10. My biggest issue with today's job market is the lack of unified definitions about job titles. People spend hours reading job descriptions that do not necessarily align with their industries, and I would say here expectations, those are my words, and struggle to find the new titles companies are inventing to reduce the volume of applications. I'm not sure that companies are inventing to reduce the volume of applications. If you disagree, send me a message. I'd like to see your views. I think it's just how things change over time. Yes, job titles really do get people confused. Sometimes because they want a specific job title and they they get stuck on the seniority of their experience, and they want to be called a VP or a director, and then this job is a senior manager and they don't like that. Things like that. I see that from time to time. The other problem is sometimes the job title looks really fancy and great. I have seen CFOs jobs being advertised at a very low salary range. So job titles mean nothing. They mean nothing. Like I said before, can't remember which question it was, but I did say in a previous answer that the most important thing is to understand your experience vis-a-vis the experience required for that job. The scale and the scope of the work you have done in the past, and the scale and the scope of the work that you're applying for. This is the most important thing. And then I have seen people see amazing jobs that are advertised that the job title is just really bizarre. And then I think LinkedIn is a great tool to identify if that's the right level for you in that organization. So what you can do is in private mode, right? So not public, you go to your privacy settings, go to your visibility and put yourself in private mode so people don't see that you're looking at their profiles. You go and check out who was doing that job before. Or maybe that's a job that's very common in that organization. You can go and check all the people that have those job titles in that organization. Check out who the manager is. Sometimes it's listed in the job ad. Sometimes it's very easy to find. And see if that person looks like the person that you would be reporting to. Or are you more senior than that person? Or, are you very junior and that's not the right level for you? So you can do that, and you should do that. Okay, so that is a great way. Use LinkedIn in private mode to search for people that have the job that you are applying for. If it's a small organization, the person that did that job before and then left, if it's a vacancy and not a newly created job. And find out if it seems like the right job for you. I hope that this helps. Number 11, this is our second last. It seems that companies are not hiring at all. Now, this is a comment, not a question, but I will take it as a question because this is in fact true. We are in July 2024. 2024 has been a tough year from the get-go. It was supposed to get better over time as we got better ideas about where things are going at with elections. I mean, half the world is going through elections in 2024. So there is a high level of just procrastination from decision makers, not procrastinations, but just a standby, really. I think they are absolutely right not to make big, bold decisions about their organizations and how to grow and where to go until the political sphere is more settled. So, for example, for my listeners and clients that are in the UK, now that the UK election has been done and there was a landslide, big change in government, but it's much better than not knowing how the policies will be designed and how the relationship between government and industry is going to happen. I think it's great for them that even if they did not vote for the prime minister and the powers that be, that at least there is more certainty now than there was 2-3 months ago. So that is probably, hopefully, what will happen in the US as well once this election is over. I think right now things just keep getting worse and worse. So I understand the frustration, but you can understand that people in pharma, manufacturing, retail, even, government jobs, they wouldn't be advertising right now because that wouldn't be the right thing for their organizations to be advertising jobs when there's so much uncertainty. Hang in there. There are jobs that are, really important and needy and they need to be filled ASAP. Those are advertised, and you need to be the best possible candidates right now to get those jobs because there are not many jobs advertised. Seek support, seek help. The help can come from career coaches like myself, mentors that are very in tune and understand what's happening in the job market. If they might be great mentors for more sort of wisdom and lifestyle and stuff like that, but if they are not in the workforce right now, they may not really understand how tough it is for you to get a job. So seek out the help of people that have just changed jobs. How do they do it? Ask for their advice, and I'd be happy to help as well, of course. So yeah, tough year. 2024, 2025 will be better, pretty sure. Number 12, final question. I've applied to jobs and then the scammers call. It is true. I am so sad to agree with this person, and it's a comment and not a question, but I think it's important for me to let you know that there are more and more scams now than ever. Scams are really, really sophisticated. I don't want you to think that scams are just those weird phone calls with, text messages that we get from time to time. Scams now look like real jobs, okay? They have real websites that look like real companies. They have emails that are very well written with job offers that seem very legit. But there is one way of knowing that you need to think twice before even clicking on any of the links or documents attached to those emails or LinkedIn messages. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. Okay? And if you cannot find people on LinkedIn, if they emailed you and then you go and check LinkedIn, they're not there, then it's probably a scam. Because LinkedIn is very good at kicking people out. So once you report people on LinkedIn, you are kicked out of the platform and it's very hard for you to come back. One of the reasons why when I do my LinkedIn audit, I record a video for you and ask you to log into your LinkedIn and do the changes yourself, right? Because if I access your LinkedIn here with your username and password, LinkedIn will then try to verify 100 million times to make sure that I am you. It's actually the policy says you shouldn't allow anybody to use your LinkedIn profile. So I'm very, very careful with LinkedIn. You should be as well. Do not give your username and password to anybody. When applying online, apply for jobs on LinkedIn, and even then double check that these companies are legit. You can do that by checking them out on Reddit, on Glassdoor, going to Google and then Google News, check out that they exist, and if they don't, then don't apply. It's not worth it. I know you really need a job, but it's not worth it. Okay? There are even job boards that are scams. I was contacted by one asking to be a guest on my podcast. And then when I Googled the name of that job board, I found dozens and dozens and dozens of pages on LinkedIn of people saying that that job board was a scam. And that when you added your profile to that job board, that they would capture all of your data and use it to hack you, basically. Right? So I want you to be very, very careful. And if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And talk to somebody, share information, get advice from more experienced job seekers, people that have looked for work before you, maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, people that are in the workforce, or invest in a career coach and get their support. Just last week, I had a client who emailed me and sent me all the information about the job that they received via email, and I immediately told them that was a scam, that they shouldn't apply, and they agreed with me, and that was the end of it. All right? Okay, everybody, this is the end of this recording. I had a blast. How long is this? An hour, of course. I try so hard to be fast, but I think I was, yeah, I should have cut this in. I wanted to answer all of the questions from that post. So I'm going to add the post below. This is again, it's a post from Andrew Seaman, who works at LinkedIn and has a podcast. It's the LinkedIn podcast called Get Hired. He asked if anybody had questions. I think he did a very good job at getting amazing questions. I know it will inform his podcast future topics. So I'm going to have a link to his podcast as well for you to have a look. He interviews people on his podcast, but I decided to go a step further and then address each question individually because I noticed he didn't. And I wanted to talk because these questions are great. I think a lot of people can relate to these questions, and I hope that the answers have helped you. If you haven't yet checked my website, please do. I have lots of interesting career services that are very affordable, like the Reset Your Career that I have just redone, completely redone for you, and the 31 Days of Action. That's just, it's an amazing little program. You will not regret investing $31 on it because I designed it to give you an understanding of what working with a coach means and the sort of support and advice that you can get when you work with somebody who makes their bread and butter out of understanding recruitment and selection. So I love having you here. Thank you so much for listening until the end. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and I will see you next time. Ciao for now.